Aloha Hawaii, this is Pokalai Nui and you are listening to Hawaiian Potpourri on radio station KWAI 1080 on your AM dial. Welcome to the program. We had been talking about a number of issues in the earlier hour. John Edwards not being prosecuted by the federal prosecutor, and I had some kind words for the federal prosecutor with regards to why don't they really get down to business and prosecute the real criminals of the times and of these societies. And that would be, first of all, you can start with George Bush, and then you move to Dick Cheney, and you can go to John Woo, and you can go to even down to, what's his name, Colin Powell, and that gang of criminals who had committed criminal international actions by the invasion of Afghanistan as well as Iraq, and many other things that they had committed, but primarily for those two wars that they have committed, and as a result killed many innocent people. Well, anyway, that was a discussion. The second discussion was with regards to Pakistan and the doctor who allegedly assisted the CIA in their conspiracy to invade Pakistan or into Pakistan to get Osama bin Laden. He had been outed by Pakistani officials, it is said, and so there's somewhat of an outcry about that. The third item was with regards to immigration and what they call illegal immigrants. How can the illegal government call people who are immigrants there illegal immigrants without looking at themselves and, going through the question of their legitimacy in those areas? Take Texas as an example. Is not Texas originally part of Mexico? And it was essentially stolen through a setup and a regime change. And then so-called Tex-Mex, or whatever they call themselves, asked to be admitted into the United States after getting the protection of the American military. Very similar to Hawaii, illegal as well. Okay. Getting now to the next issue that I wanted to bring to your attention, and you tell me what you think about it. Our telephone number, by the way, is 524-1080. If you would like to discuss any of these items, give me a call and we'll put you on the radio. Let's see. The issue between Ed Case and Mazie Hirono, they're now sparring on the economy, and I'm trying to get some focus on the differences between the two of them, and it seems like there's a lot of similarities, but now they're sort of teasing out those areas of differences, and I don't know if those areas of differences will really make a difference with voters and how they vote, but it's part of the charade that goes on in this election process. Derek DePledge, who writes for the Star Advertiser, wrote this article, and this is what he said with regards to Ed Case, that he would not approve another federal stimulus package to help with economic recovery, although it was pointed out by Mazie Hirono that he did previously. Mazie says that the government still needs to invest in job creation to emerge from the worst economic crisis since the Depression. So Mazie sees that government needs to intercede to try to assist in bringing the U.S. out of the present economic slump. Ed Case said that he would not approve of another federal stimulus, but then he doesn't say how the economy is to step out of the slump. He's just leaving that blank, and so it's hard to inquire any further into then what is a solution, or what ideas do you have in terms of what the direction should be. Even if you disagree with Mazie Hirono that it's government intervention that will bring it out, at least she takes a stand and says this is the way I think it will be brought about, or it needs to recover. With Ed Case, all he's saying is that he would not have government invest. The presumption is that he would expect private business to lift the economy up. But the private business seems to be too busy getting rich. The rich get richer, and this is the same as the Republican position of Mr. Romney. It appears to me. If you have a different understanding, then of course, give me a call and straighten me out. All right, asked by moderator Dan Boyton. Or is it Boylan? There, Dan Boylan. Okay, I'm just reading it wrong. I know Dan Boylan. Whether he would back President Barack Obama's job package, Case said the nation already had 2 federal stimulus initiatives in response to the recession and does not need a third. Hirono supports provisions of the president's job proposal. So Ed Case is essentially saying he'll vote with the Republicans. He'll side with the Republican side. Then why is he running on the Democratic Party ticket? Well, of course, one vote does not make a Democrat or a Republican. Then you can always ask, but Ed, isn't it that you more consistently with the Republican side? And if this is a part of that whole package that Democrats are saying, we got to get things moving rather than just arguing about philosophical things, and that's what the Republicans have been doing all this time, then essentially you are speaking a Republican line. It seems to me, and if I am wrong, then somebody correct me. Okay, so the debate is going on. Sometimes when I listen to Maisie, this is Ed speaking, I think that the government is going to do everything for us all of the time, that the job creation has to come from more federal spending, Case said. Eventually the private sector, and here he comes, has to create and provide those jobs. We cannot go on spending the amount of money that we are spending in this country and expect that we are going to be able to handle our basic obligations from our federal government, much less the things that we want to do over and above that. Okay, that's a good line for Ed Case. Of course, you can always ask him, how come you approve so much war spending when the economy was tanking? And how come you supported the Bush extension of tax breaks for the rich when the government was tanking? And here you go in this explanation of what economics are, and that the private industry is supposed to lift the economy up. And where has the private industry been for the last 8 years or the last 12 years? Okay, moving on. The former congressman said the nation is headed for a train wreck that could lead to the kind of economic collapse facing European nations. No joke, Dick Tracy. Okay, we're in a unique time in the history of our country, the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. You do not recover from that kind of cataclysmic economic downturn overnight, Hirono said. And you know what? The private sector, the corporations are holding on to billions of dollars that they're not investing. So I think we've already tried this trickle-down approach. So she's sort of associating with Ed Case with Ronnie Reagan and his trickle-down economics, which, of course, we all know doesn't work. And by the way, Europe, they're just cutting, and have they solved their problems, their economic woes? No. So what is Maisie saying? If you follow the European approach of European governments to cut, and not get involved in the economy and do some spending to bring the economy back up, then you're going to end up as Europe is, in the direction Europe is going. Anyway, that's her analysis. Hirono said it was interesting that Case is so intent on balancing the federal budget when he supported extending portions of the Bush tax cuts for the wealthy and the Iraq war, which added to the nation's debt. Obviously, Hirono would not have supported the cuts and would not have supported the Iraqi war. Case, who voted against the second round of Bush-era tax cuts in 2003, and like Hirono would now allow them to expire, said, "Sometimes when I listen to the debate that we have," let me turn the page. Okay. "I think that Macy's answers to every single challenge that we have is always to raise the taxes, always on the revenue side, always boost those up. That's not going to work." Well, it's interesting how he sort of plants Macy, what should be Macy's position, onto Macy. So it's what Ed would like to see Macy have, and plants it with that statement. So it's an interesting technique of debate. Both Hirono and Case reiterated their support for a Honolulu rail transit system, but agreed that federal funding for the project could be placed at risk if former Governor Ben Cayetano, a rail opponent, is elected mayor. Now, that's not nice. That's not nice. And Ben Cayetano, as far as I'm concerned, is the only one who's talking truth now that Panos is not running. And there's no guarantee that the feds will, in fact, come in for federal funding if Peter Carlisle or Caldwell, what's his first name, gets elected. So this kind of presumption that Hirono and Case is making with regards to it's a slam dunk that the feds will come in with that money is erroneous. And of course, if Cayetano gets elected, he will tell the feds, keep your money, and we're going to take the, what is that, $500 million emergency fund that had been signed by Carlisle, the bill that had been signed by Carlisle. He says we're going to do away with that, and we're going to redirect those funds to somewhere else. Obviously. Okay. Moving on. The winner of the primary will likely face former Governor Linda Lingle, the leading Republican candidate for the Senate in the November general election. She's also the leading advocate for Israel in Hawaii, it seems to me. Okay, the PBS Hawaii Forum was a 4th of 5, etc. There's going to be another one coming up. If you have any comments, critique of my critique, everything's fair game. Give me a call. Telephone number is 524-1080. I'll give you a chance to say your piece, and hopefully we shall be at peace as we disagree. We've talked about a number of issues, the last one with regards to the debates between Macy Hirono and Ed Case. And if you look at the debate going on between Hirono and Case, it seems like a very similar debate that's going on between Obama and Romney, although they haven't squared off or gone face to face against one another. This article comes out of the Honolulu Star Advertiser at page A14. It's in the Nation section, so they're looking at a larger picture. And I'd like to share that article with you, and perhaps you can see the parallel with Case and Hirono. Well, to what extent it actually parallels one another. So here we go. It says President Barack Obama cast his re-election race against Republican Mitt Romney as the economic choice of a lifetime on Thursday, seeking to stir undecided voters and asking the nation to buy into his vision for 4 more years or face a return to the recession-era mistakes of the past. Romney said talk is cheap. Okay, but that, talk is cheap really doesn't give any weight or any substance to his a response that he should give. From opposite ends of Ohio, a state vital to both of their political futures, Romney and Obama dueled in economic speeches that set the tone for a fierce final 5 months of debate. At the core, the pitches were the political foes' fundamentally different takes on how to get to an economically aching nation soaring again. That's really what this election is about, Obama said in his most detailed case for a second term. That's what is at stake right now. Everything else is just noise. Okay, that's a redundant statement. Romney went first from Cincinnati, a Republican stronghold, and he described Obama's administration as the very, quote, enemy of the people who create jobs. Look what happened across the country, Romney said. If you think things are going swimmingly, if you think the president's right when he said the private sector is doing fine, then he's the guy to vote for. But he questioned why anyone would do that, saying if the job isn't getting done, pick, quote, someone who can do a better job. Okay. The backstop was Ohio, seen by political strategists as a state that could swing the election. It went to Obama last time and George W. Bush before that, and it remains crucial for both competitors this year, particularly Romney. No Republican has ever won the presidency without winning Ohio. Romney gave what amounted to his standard speech, albeit realigned as a pre-buttal as Obama was pulling into his event. Given the tight presidential race and the enormous interest in the economy, the two speeches offered anticipation of a big campaign moment, but the substance yielded little new. Okay. Obama's speech was filled with budget numbers, history, and talk of independent analysis. It was an economic case, yet hardly one of roaring rhetorical lift. The goal for Obama was not to uncork new proposals, but to define a contrast. He is still pushing tax credits and other jobs ideas that have awaited action in Congress for months. On Thursday, he said, the election is an opportunity for voters to step in and, quote, break the stalemate. In essence, Obama said Romney would gut government and cut taxes for the rich at the expense of everyone else. Romney said Obama is crushing the free market with regulation. The economic focus came amid slow U.S. job growth and a European financial crisis that is eroding confidence around the globe. Both Romney and Obama used Europe as a foil. For Obama, it was to say while many European economies aren't growing, America is because, quote, we acted fast. Romney said Obama had amassed crippling debt. You want 4 more years of that? He said. You call that forward? That's forward over a cliff. That's forward in a way to Greece. Later, Thursday, Obama, joined by First Lady Michelle Obama, traveled to New York to visit the World Trade Center site, getting a first-hand look at the skyscrapers, etc., etc. Okay, that goes beyond the discussion. All right, so you have two approaches to the economy. What is your belief with regards to how the economy should proceed? Is it appropriate for governments to become involved in spurring the economy on, and should government policies be adopted for that purpose of improving the economy, or should the government simply step out of such policies and let the private sector take over and essentially run the economy? Okay, think about it. What do you think? And I'll leave you with that question.
Kaulana na pua o Hawaii, Kupa ama hope o ka aina, Iki mai ka elele o ka loko ino, Palapala anunu me ka paka Pane mai Hawaii moku o ke ave Koku ana honoa o Pilani Ka ko'o mai kaua i o mano Pa'apu me ke one o ka kuhi hewa Aolea e kau i ka pulima Maluna o ka pepa o ka enemi Po'ohui ai nā ku ai hewa I ka pono sivila a o ke kanā